Hi, Shravan. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. No
Y-
problem. Yeah, hi Randir. This is Shravan. I'm senior consultant with this organization. I have 7 years of experience. Okay, so can we start?
Yes, we can start.
Okay, first of all, let me know something about yourself and your exact day-to-day activities.
Yes, so basically, this is Ranveer. I have 5 years of experience as a DevOps with AWS, and so in 5 years, I have worked on different tools like Git, SVN, Bitbucket, GitLab as a source code management tool, and Maven, Jenkins, Sonar Cube, Nexus, and in AWS Docker, Kubernetes, and a little bit of Azure. Mm,
Okay,
so basically, day-to-day activities like so we have a pod system. In that pod system, so every bunch of 5 to 10 guys have to work on the multiple projects. So our pod name is DevOps Pod. So in that pod, we have 15 projects, I guess. So we have a team lead. So we are getting different projects. Some projects get like just to containerize applications, like so the clients will come to us like we have a Docker some application, so we just want to migrate this application to Kubernetes. So in that case, we will be write manifest file, and we will try to migrate that images to the Docker Swarm to Kubernetes or EKS, or whatever they want to, or it could be OpenShift. And some projects they want to implement us to, they were asked to, they were asked us to create a CI/CD pipelines on AWS CI/CD or Jenkins. So we will try to get into their GitHub, and we will create the CI/CD pipelines for them, and we will try to create the CI/CD deployment in on top of according to their wish. So
okay, okay,
basically, we
okay. That's enough.
okay.
Yeah, okay, that's enough, Randir. What are the all the cloud technologies that you use it in a project, your project?
Yes. Most of the times, as a our company is a AWS cloud partner, so we were most of the times we were ended up using AWS, but I have little bit knowledge on Azure as well. But I never worked on AZP and GCP and Alibaba. But yes, I can work. I have worked on AWS and a little bit Azure.
Okay, what are all services in AWS apart from EC2 and VPC?
Yes, in AWS, I worked on Route 53, step functions, uh, Lambda, auto scaling groups, load balancing, ELB, and storages like ABS, S3, and IAM, SQS, SNS, CloudWatch, and a couple of databases, RBS, RDS, like MySQL. Uh, so I have worked on these all services.
Okay, good. How did you register a registry in ACR?
Yes, so ECR basically it's a registry, so we can create a repository in it. So just we need to go to the, so it basically ECR is a managed service from the AWS. So when we log into the console, we will just search for the ECR. So then we will be able to create a repository. So in that we can choose, or we can keep the private repository as a private or public, and give the name of the repository, and we'll just try to a bunch of other options also available. So just when we create the repository, it will create a repository in the registry. After that, we if, the by default the AWS will let us provide the default commands to pull or push from or to the images onto ECR.
Okay. Did you work on EKS clusters?
Yes, for most of the times you are working on EKS clusters.
Okay. How did you create a EKS cluster?
Okay, so actually we have created EKS cluster in couple of ways. So in managed ways, like just we need to go to the service called EKS, and when we need to provide all the details, like which region, which VPC, which subnets we want to know, we want to available, we want to our worker nodes to be deployed. And so a couple of bunch of options are there. And after that, once the node is created, we need to add the node groups. So the particular node groups need to have three IAM roles. One is AWS AIR, ECR, sorry, and AWS ENI, and AWS EC2 full access. So the in the node groups, what are the bunch of EC2s need to have these three IAM roles. Uh, so basically, EC2 is a managed Kubernetes service from the cluster, and we have used EKCTL as well. So in the client mission, we need to have kubectl and EKCTL and AWS CLI. So just by giving bunch of commands like AWS EKCTL create cluster hyphen hyphen the region, VPC name, and node group numbers, automatically a cloud formation stack will be created in the AWS, and the cloud formation stack will create a EKS cluster for us. So this is how we create a EKS cluster.
Okay, okay. Is the cluster is component or mission?
So basically, the EKS cluster is this AWS service, managed service from the AWS. So it's a component. The mission is such, like whenever it has a OS and the Ubuntu, the Windows, it's kind of a mission, right? So it's a component from AWS.
And which environment did you create EKS cluster?
OS, right? So we have used Ubuntu based node groups.
Okay. What is the life cycle of kubectl?
Yes. Okay. So kubectl is basically the client mission, like it sends the commands to the API server. So the API server try to communicate with the API. The API server try to communicate with the scheduler, controller, and etcd, which are in the uh, which are the components of the master mission. And then it will try to communicate with the kubelet. So kubelet is a, yeah, it's a agent which is lies on the worker nodes. So so kubelet is like it will sends and retrieve the instructions to or from the API server. So basically it's a command line interface.
Okay. Did you work on S3 bucket channel?
Yes, I have worked on.
Okay, I have a
Oh,
scenario like there
okay,
is a S3 bucket
okay,
and there is a EC2 in
okay,
same region.
okay, okay,
If you want to fetch a file from S3 to EC2, so how
okay,
can you do that?
okay. So there is a file in S3 and you want to get that file into EC2. Okay.
EC2, right?
Yes, yes. Okay. For that, the EC2 need to have the IAM role called S3 full access. And after that, like we have a AWS CLI commands called AWS S3 CP. CP, and we need to provide the destination, the source of the S3 bucket, S3 slash the bucket name slash the folders in it, under in it, and the file name. And so AWS S3 source and destination. So it will go to the S3 and it will fetch the file from the S3, and it will get back to, it will copy that file from the S3, and it will copy that that file to the particular EC2 folder. AWS S3 CP will does the job, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to access the S3 data
Okay.
to EC2
Okay.
based on object ID of EC2. Is
Based
it
on
possible?
ID of EC2, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
object ID of EC2, right?
Yes, yes. The AWS S3 will does the job, but I based on the object ID, I have no idea. I need to look into it, I guess.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
okay. I have a private EC2 instance.
okay,
I want to access the EC2 from outside.
Okay.
How can you do that?
So whenever whenever we want to communicate to the private instances, so we need to we can communicate from the public instances, but for this but in we have servers called the EC2 is called bash and host. So the bash and host is a EC2 which is available in the public subnet, and in that we have a host called bastion AWS bastion host. So when we log into that bastion host, and from there some security groups configuration will be done uh, to or from the private subnets. So through bastion subnets we will be able to communicate, we will be log into the private subnets, so in a secure way actually.
Okay. Now we are about ACL and NACL.
Yes, yes. Actual control list and network access control list. So these are the components in a VPC level, VPC, virtual private cloud.
Okay, okay. How to block an IP in NACL? Do you know?
So
Do you have any idea?
yes, yes. So the NACL acts as a firewall um, in subnet level. So in NACL, so whenever we create a VPC and subnet, the by default one default NACL will be created. So the default NACL will allow all the traffic and deny no traffic. So if you want to block any particular IP, we have a section called the deny section. So we need to just get the IP, and we need to give that IP in the deny section, so that that particular ID will not be able to access the instances which are there in the subnet. So by using deny section in the NACL, we can block the IPs.
Okay. What is NACL and security groups?
Yes, NACL acts as a firewall against the subnets, and through NACL we can allow and deny a particular IP can allow and can be allowed and can be denied by using NACL. So we have that facility in NACL. Whereas the security groups is a firewall against the EC2 level. In that we can only like allow, we can specify what kind of ranges, what kind of ports we want to let from outside to communicate to the connected to the EC2s, and uh, we can allow like my IP and some custom IPs and all IPs from security groups, but we cannot deny any particular range. uh, Sorry, particular ranges. So there is no deny section in security groups as such.
Okay. Randir, did you heard about record set?
Yes, basically record set is a component of hosted zones. So it's like it's a bunch of records, DNS subnet subdomains, a list of subdomains in the uh, hosted zone.
What is elastic beanstalk?
Elastic Beanstalk, I never worked on Elastic Beanstalk.
Is any idea?
Uh, Elastic Beanstalk, for nothing is come popping in my mind, I guess.
Okay, okay, okay. Great. What is SQS?
So SQS is like a query system, queue system. Sorry. So whenever we have like the use case is like one of the use case which I found, and whenever a particular S3, whenever a particular file has been uploaded into S3, and I want to perform some action based on the something has happened. So in that section we can use S3 simple queue service, simple queue service. So basically.
What is then? What is SNS?
SNS is simple notification service. So whenever client want to get the notification in something bad has happened in his infra, so we configure
Okay.
his name, his email, and we create some topics. So it's kind of a email notification system in the SNS in the AWS. So we configure a bunch of his mails and his numbers. So whenever something has bad has happened, so immediately the whoever the receiver or subscriber will get the notification from the AWS SNS based on the CloudWatch metrics and SNS topics what we configure.
Okay. Did you work on cloud formation?
Yes, yes. Cloud formation. I have, whenever we want to create a VPC and EC2s and what are the common infra we want to work on. So we create a, VPC cloud dedicated VPC cloud formation templates. So we just try to pull them and by using Stack. So the cloud formation template. So we used cloud formation templates mostly to create most of the AWS services, which we use very frequently. So basically, this for a cloud engineer position or are you looking for a DevOps position? I most of the questions are sorry, I don't.
Yeah, actually, we are looking for an DevOps engineer with strong AWS knowledge.
Okay,
That's what we are looking for.
okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, just moving to Git.
hmm
Uh, what is a Git rebase?
Git rebase, Git rebase will acts like a uh, it acts like a merge only, but in merge what happens, all the commit IDs will not be preserved in git merge, but when we when we try to merge with git rebase, all the commit IDs all the commit IDs in one branch will be migrated to the another branch, uh, with all the commit IDs will be preserved, you know so that's how.
Okay. What is Git revert?
So Git revert is it's like it's kind of a undo in commit IDs. Like so whenever we want to undo any particular commit ID, we give the command like git revert commit ID. So whatever the particular task has been done in that particular commit ID will be reverted. It works like that.
Okay. Can you differentiate between Git pull and Git fetch?
Okay, like git full. So so when we give the command like git pull, so it will get the updated code from the remote repository to the all the way to the local repository and as well as working copy. So when we give the git fetch command, it will get the updated code from the remote repository to the only local repository. So on top of git fetch, we need to merge particular commit IDs to get the particular commit IDs into the local repository. We need to merge. So in high level, git full is a combination of git fetch and git merge.
Okay. If you get into our organization,
Okay.
I want you to pull the code onto your local machine. How do you do that?
Okay, basically I will install a Git in my system and I'll try to I'll create I'll try to log into by using Git config hyphen username, and by using token name I try to log into the local repo and I'll try to access the files, and I'll try to git clone whatever the repository URL I want to access. Uh, I will I will download. I'll try to download.
Okay. As mentioned in your resume, did you work on Docker also, right?
Yes, yes,
Docker containers and all.
yes. I have extended.
Okay. How to get a public IP of Docker container?
Yes, like we have. docker inspect command. So it retrieves all the outputs in the format of JSON. So it will give all the containers and all the IPs in the containers. So git inspect will does the job.
Okay. Did you have any idea about Minikube?
Yes, as a mini cube is like mini cluster, so we can just play around. We can learn about when we want to do some POC things on Kubernetes cluster. So it's just a so mini cluster to practice or to do some POC tasks on Kubernetes.
Okay, is that possible to increase RAM resources in Minikube?
Yes, it is possible, and there is a command as well. But I right now I am unable to recollect.
Okay, okay. Do you have an idea
Yes,
about it?
I am unable to recollect as of now.
Okay, okay. Okay. How do you increase the Docker volume?
Okay, so we have container size. So the volume default volume will be slash etc slash some folder is there. Uh, there is a like actually I worked on it, but I actually am not getting it as of now. You
Okay.
you want to try to increase the value container size or like uh, volume size, right? Okay, so by default the
Volume,
volume,
volume.
yeah, by default the volume is in slash etc slash sysconfig slash docker storage. So there is so in that for that for that particular uh, template we need to provide the whatever the value we want to provide actually some there are some storage drivers as well, regex, and some storage values, through them also we can provide try to increase the volume size.
Okay. Which pipeline you are used in your Jenkins?
Yes, okay. So actually, we have for some of the project we use it scripted way, and some of the project we have used it declarative way. So it's a depends on.
Okay. Can you write a pipeline to build and push Docker container in the chat box? Is that possible? Do you know it now?
Yes, yes. I can write it. I can write. So actually, I can tell you orally. So so the Docker file has a couple of so in that we have node stage. Uh, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay.
hearing you.
So we have like a node stage, and we have
Okay.
pipeline stage, and we have node stage, under we have like stages, and under
Okay.
stages we have stage. So in that particular stage we can write any docker, you know. So first we need to specify the environment variables. Mm,
Okay.
so docker image and docker name. uh, so in the stages section we can give the command like docker dot build image name, so that it will create the docker container out of a docker image. um, so I thought of sharing screen. Can you see my screen, I guess? Okay,
One day.
actually okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Wait.
No, no, why are you presenting? Let me present.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
okay, no problem.
Okay. Which scripting do you use in your Jenkins?
So I have a knowledge on shell scripting and bash scripting. Uh, I have a little bit more knowledge on shell scripting.
Okay. As you mentioned your in a resume, like you have Python knowledge also, right?
Yes, for one of the
What it means knowledge.
organ.
What it means Python knowledge. How
Uh,
much knowledge you have?
yes, for I don't have much knowledge. So actually, so for one of the project we have used a little bit Python code. So that's how uh, I put it as a knowledge on Python. But I'm keep on learning.
Okay.
Basically, I'm looking into it and learning.
Can you write at least in a program in Python like 1 200 even numbers or odd numbers like?
The code is not popping in my mind, I guess. If you give me any requirement, I will do it. But it's not actually. It's a many long days ago. I worked on Python, so uh, I have
Okay. How many years of experience do you have with Jenkins?
Jenkins. I have 3 years.
Okay then. Have you add users in Jenkins as Jenkins admins? How can you do that?
Okay, as an administrator, we have like in configure in manage Jenkins and manage configuration. Like we can create users. Like in that manage creating user sections, we have role based max matrix strategy. One strategy is there, so that it will create the users, and it will provide the sufficient privileges to all the users. Uh,
Okay. What are the plugins that you are using in your Jenkins?
so we have like thin backup plugin for backup purposes, backup of jobs. We have used Maven plugin. We have used Sonar Cube. We have used Jacaco plugin. We have used Kubernetes deploy plugin for to deploy the containers on top of Kubernetes, and we have Docker plugin. So I worked on many plugins.
Okay. What is Docker Compose?
So basically, Docker Compose, it's an advanced version of writing Docker files. So it's in this file we write uh, in YAML format. Um, so it's basically advanced way of writing Docker files.
Okay. How do you rate yourself in Docker for 5?
Okay, out of five, I can rate myself
Two to
four,
yeah.
four, four.
4 means how many years of experience do you have with Docker?
Docker for last 4 years I've been working on Docker. I wrote many Docker files, and I create. I know I worked on volumes, I worked on networks, and I worked on even Docker Swarm as well. So I've been working on Docker since quite a some time.
That's good. That's good. Okay. What does kubelet do?
Okay, basically kubelet is like agent in all the worker nodes. So it takes the instructions from the scheduler and control manager from the the work the master node. So it does the basic agenting job, and it does all the uh, roles which need to be done in the on the nodes by taking the instructions from the controller and the scheduler.
Okay. What is pods and node in Kubernetes?
The pods are like the combination of containers is a pod. So it has all the minimum uh, logical structure is a pod, and the node is like the EC2 instances which is attached to the master node is called a node.
Okay. Can we implementing load balance in Kubernetes?
Okay, yes, we can do that. We have services like cluster IP, we have services like node boot and ingress load balancer. So when we have a like by using cluster ip, the the service will try to find the pod. There is a labels and selector concept, so the service will try to find the pods. And when we but the cluster ip works within the cluster only. And when we have node port, the node port will let the outside traffic make sure connect to the um, pods within the cluster. It allows outside traffic within the cluster. And we have load balancer. So when we create a load balancer service or object in the service in the kubernetes, so it will create an external load balancer in the cloud. And through that it will does the basic load balancing job. And we have ingress. So when we have multiple containers, and multiple containers have multiple dns names. So mm, using uh, using single I mean to say, using multiple elbs for multiple microservices is not a recommended way. So we have ingress as well. So we can do the basic load balancing in kubernetes.
Okay, good. What is the difference between load balancer and headless service?
So load balancer, it's it's does the basic routing job. All the target groups which are available within its target group, based on round robin algorithm. The headless service is it will um, it will also does the basic load balancing job. But it does uh, like uh, it don't follow any such algorithm. It just route the traffic to the available nodes. So basically the headless service does the basic load balancing job in front of the databases. So that's
Okay. Didn't you mention about Terraform and Ansible in your resume?
yes. Yes, actually I have mentioned I
You
have.
don't have any at least knowledge and
Yes, yes, I have worked on.
experience.
Yes, I have worked on Terraform quite some time from last 1.5 year. And for some automation
Okay.
purposes, we wrote actually I write some manifesto. The Ansible playbooks as well by using some modules um, to create users to install software, multiple softwares for deployment purpose as well. We have used Ansible. Uh, yes, I have knowledge on Ansible as well.
Okay, very good. That's fine. That's fine, Randir.
Okay,
This is all about from my side.
okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions to ask?
As of now, I am good. As of now, I'm good. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Randir.
Okay. Okay.
Shall we leave?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Shravan. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all the valid questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Randir. All the best. All the best.